This is CBC Here and Now.
There's an investigation to determine whether there should be an investigation. So at this point, there's not even an investigation. It's an investigation as to whether there should be one. And so we welcome it.
Things continue to heat up off the ice between St. John's Sports Entertainment and the Growlers.
Booted from the Mary Brown Centre, leaked documents shed light on what's going on behind closed doors.
Some sunshine tomorrow, but a mild, wet and windy Friday on tap.
Shauna got out, got hit by a car, and the car drove off. Do you believe that that's what happened? No, not at all.
So what did happen to Shauna Halloran?
2 years later, her family still questioning why police didn't speak with the hit-and-run victim before it was too late. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Well, every day the province gets closer to its vaccination target, 90% of the population. But if that does happen, what changes? Here and Now's Peter Cowan is live with more. So Peter, just how close is the province to that 90% mark?
Carolyn, we're pretty close, just 1.2% more, and we'll be there. Let's take a look at the latest numbers from the province. When it comes to fully vaccinated, we're at 88.7% of the population, so getting very close to that 90%. When you look at first doses, that's 94% of the eligible population. The province estimates that in total there are about 28,000 people in the province that haven't had even a first dose but are eligible. Now, children under the age of 12 still can't get a shot. Today, Dr. Janice Fitzgerald said the province is waiting on Health Canada approval. They hope to start vaccinating children before the end of the year, but we're probably about 4 to 6 months from having them all fully vaccinated with those 2 shots. So while they're looking at easing some restrictions when we hit that 90%, a full lifting of restrictions is going to have to wait.
I anticipate there will be some changes, but it is still very important for us to get those children vaccinated, for us to have really good protection in the total population, in the whole of the population. And as we saw, recently down on the Burin Peninsula, it can move very quickly through an unvaccinated population. So we want to make sure we have those children protected, and a significant proportion of those children protected.
One of the things that's pushed some people to get vaccinated is requiring vaccination to enter non-essential public places, things like restaurants and gyms. By December 17th, the people who work in those places are also going to have to be fully vaccinated. And the minister today said that they are putting a sunset on this. Right now, June 1st is the end date for those measures, but that will be reviewed.
Some people would regard those as an infringement of their liberties or a challenge to the Charter. And I think partly this is to show that we are sensitive to those discussions and that this isn't in perpetuity. So that was a date that we felt as government was reasonable to set. And if there is a need, these regulations can be continued, and if there is no need, then these regulations can expire.
One thing officials did point out today is that the vaccination rates here are amongst the highest in North America. When you look at the overall percentage of the population vaccinated, Newfoundland and Labrador beats all of the other provinces and territories. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Peter Cowan for Here and Now.
Well, definitely a little bit of a nip in the air today out there across the province. Temperatures only into the single digits. Cape Brace, Marystown all breaking about 7 degrees today, but otherwise sitting somewhere between 2 to 5, and then on the cool side up across Labrador as well. In fact, we did see some snow in some cases. Gander picked up a couple of centimeters earlier today, and expecting that to continue as we head through the evening hours tonight. The other thing, really gusty winds, somewhere between 70, even 80, 90 kilometers per hour for parts parts of Labrador today. That's thanks to an area of low pressure that has moved off now, but we are seeing all that cloud cover and then some flurries, showers, and some graupel being reported for parts of the Avalon as well today. But our next weather maker is getting set over Ontario at the moment. That is going to bring some mild conditions, a little bit of a break before we get there, but some mild conditions. Look at the 5-day trend up into the double digits as we get into Friday and Saturday. Then we'll see that drop in temperatures. This is the case for most of the island, but I will get into all the forecast details when I come back.
The family of a woman killed 2 years ago is fighting for more answers about her death. Shauna Halloran was found critically injured on an isolated road in Conception Bay South, the victim of an apparent hit and run. She died 2 days later in hospital. According to her family, police didn't come to the hospital and Shauna was still alive and they could have spoken to her. Here Now's Ariana Kelland reports.
It was August 15th, 2019. The sun was shining, the air was warm. Lunchtime, perfect driving conditions.
Shauna got out, got hit by a car, and the car drove off. And it was a van.
Yeah.
Do you believe that that's what happened? No, not at all.
Shauna Halloran was 36, a sister, mother, and daughter.
She was my older sister, and so I was the younger annoying sister that tagged along and just always wanted to hang around with her. She was always surrounded by a large group of friends, and if you ask any of them, they would all say how kind and sweet and incredibly funny she was.
She suffered from mental illness and a severe addiction, one her family says led her to be around some bad people. It's that addiction that brought her to this isolated road on the day she was critically injured. Shauna in a truck with 2 women and a man. The family says they heard from police what may have happened next.
They had been doing drugs and they were coming down, I guess, driving down the road, and Shauna supposedly felt sick. So he pulled over to the side of the road and Shauna got out. And after she got out, for some reason, she ran across the road, and that's when she got hit by the car.
What they know for sure is that an ambulance did respond. They took Shauna to the Health Sciences Center. Barb Houlihan, Shauna's next of kin, didn't know her daughter was in hospital until an early morning call the next day. Not from hospital staff, she says, but from Shauna's boyfriend.
He said that she was run over by a car, so I went over. I didn't know what to expect, and she seemed fine in the bed. Like they let me in to emerge, and the nurse had told me that she had trauma to the belly, but I had no idea really to what extent or what that even meant.
But she wasn't fine. Shauna's pelvis was crushed. She had internal bleeding. Barb Houlihan says no one told her how bad it was, so she thought she had time to get the answer to a very important question. Who did it? The police didn't get the answer either because they never showed up to ask. And when Stacy Halloran called to ask if there was a report, she says she didn't get the answer she expected.
He said, well, I think you should ask your drug addict sister what happened. And then I was just taken back and didn't know how to respond and ended the conversation there.
Back at the hospital that evening, things went downhill fast.
Then the machine started going mad and doctors rushed in and they took her.
And I could just remember how sad she looked, because she just looked so sad and her makeup was all dried and running down her face.
So you weren't able to talk to her?
Shauna Halloran survived the surgery but died the next day. Those 2 days are filled with what ifs. What if police had spoken directly to the person who knew what happened?
I'm extremely angry about it, and it's on both both parts, the people who are involved and then the police. Like, it just feels completely ignored and pushed aside. That's how it feels.
They have no doubt that Shauna's background and the fact she was a drug user played into why police didn't show up.
You hear it all the time. If there's a hit and run, it's on the news that evening. They're asking people if anybody saw anything to call in, with information.
There was no
request for information till well after the fact.
Yeah.
They probably felt they did the right thing. They spoke to people there supposedly, and whatever they received that information, they figured that was good enough. They didn't need to speak to her. I don't know.
This medical examiner's report calls the manner of her death inconclusive. Shauna Halloran's family do not believe her death was an accident. It was a clear, dry day when this incident occurred, and when Shauna was in hospital, they say she seemed scared to say what happened. We asked the RNC to do an interview, but they declined. They also declined to answer questions about this case and their handling of it. However, Stacey Halloran says the RNC did call to apologize over comments made by the officer years ago. That's after CBC reached out for a comment. The RNC says that the case is open.
I understand the fear about coming forward. I get it. But we're more looking for closure.
Yeah.
We just want to know what happened. And if we could find out who did it, that would be like a bonus. But we just really want to know what happened.
Ariana Kelland, CBC News, Conception Bay South.
Now, for more details on this story about what happened to Shauna Halloran, visit our website, cbc.ca/nl.
One update from police on the search for two hunters missing off the coast of Lawrence Harbor since Sunday. We know tonight that the boat used by those two Gander men was found overturned in the ocean about 4 miles offshore. Clothing and other personal effects were also found. As we reported last night, search crews say it's not reasonable to believe the men could have survived. RCMP say an area of 422 square nautical miles has been searched. A Canadian Coast Guard vessel remains in the area, assisting police with the recovery effort. Well, the Newfoundland Growlers continue to face off against the former Mile 1 Centre and the City of St. John's. Tonight, another twist. More details on an investigation that deemed the arena a hostile working environment. Here Now's Terry Roberts has the latest.
Newfoundland Growlers owner Dean McDonald spoke to the Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber of Commerce today, pledging to build a new arena somewhere in the area.
We'll be a 365-day-a-year arena.
But almost certainly outside of St. John's, where McDonald feels he is no longer welcome.
Our market lives here. We want to be here.
McDonald also found himself on the defensive, reacting to the release of a secret report that paints a very unflattering picture of his company, Deacon Sports and Entertainment, and those who work for him.
I think it's a one-sided report.
The report is dated March 2021 and was leaked to the media yesterday, less than a month after the Growlers were booted from Mile 1 over allegations of workplace misconduct. An external investigation into the workplace culture that zeroed in on a 16-month period. Its findings are clear. Senior employees with St. John Sports and Entertainment were subjected to workplace harassment by personnel with the two pro sports teams who were tenants, the St. John's Edge and the Growlers. What's more, the investigation found the board of directors that oversees the arena failed to protect SJSE employees. The investigation was prompted by two separate letters of complaint in the spring of 2019 from 6 senior employees. They complained about sustained elevated stress and anxiety levels, a sense of uncertainty regarding job security, and concern about their professional reputations. The report details emotional confrontations between arena staff and Growlers personnel, heated disputes over ticket sales, arena modifications by the Growlers that were not approved by SJSE, one case that raised safety concerns, yelling, and intimidation. The report concluded the behavior amounted to an acutely hostile work environment. SJSE employees complained of high blood pressure, fainting episodes, and unhealthy weight gain that they attributed to the workplace culture. One employee reported feeling like driving their car off the road just to get a break from work. The report states officials with the Edge apologized, but the Growlers did not. Since it was deemed an internal matter, the consultant hired to investigate did not interview McDonald or his staff.
I know from talking to my staff that pretty much all the facts I read in the report can be refuted by emails and information we have. Who's going to take one side of the story?
There's yet another independent investigation underway on the matter, and McDonald is confident his company will be cleared.
We're very enthusiastic to see the process run and feel very confident in our treatment of people.
In the meantime, McDonald says he has a new rink to build.
We got to get moving. We got a lot of work to do in a very short period of time.
Terry Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Now, the City of St. John's is refusing to comment on this. Its legal department issued a statement calling on news outlets not to report on this investigation, saying St. John's Sports and Entertainment will consider legal action against those who do so. Now, in a statement from the mayor, Danny Breen says disclosing this information risks serious harm to the participants of the investigation, though no employees are named in the report or in our reporting.
The plans for a new $14 million rec center in Labrador City have been called down. It had already secured $4 million from mining giant Rio Tinto, but last night, Town Council voted against requesting additional funding from the federal and provincial governments. The mayor says it was a difficult decision, but the town doesn't believe such a large rec center is necessary right now. Labrador City says it's grateful to the mining company for the offer and hopes to team up on another project somewhere down the road.
Well, for the first time in 24 years, a Seahawks rugby jersey is being worn by Memorial University's newest student athletes.
The rugby program is back, and not only that, the new team kicked off the season with a win at the Atlantic Men's University Championship on the weekend.
So when you first heard that there was going to be a rugby team at MUN, what did you think?
Oh, super excited. I reached out to my brother and told him about it because he's far above age now, and he was super jealous that we were getting the opportunity to play for MUN. It's something that when I was in my earlier years, I always wished it was a thing.
When was the last time that men's rugby, was a sport at Memorial University?
24 years ago.
Why decide to bring it back?
Well, Peter and I were coaching the Atlantic under-19 team, and we were seeing players that we put a lot of effort into competing for national championships, having very little to play afterwards. So we thought as a player pathway for Canada and Newfoundland that university sport meant a lot of sense. One tweet got 24, 25 players out to practice, and we actually had to make cuts for the traveling team.
We came out Friday night and we had a really strong start. Managed to roll all of our players in and still managed to win. And then on Sunday, there was quite blustery conditions. We still won 32-17 against Dalhousie, and they're actually the team that's supposed to go to nationals now. So that was some vindication for the program that we got a strong start like that.
We didn't know what to expect and what the competition would be like, so to be able to go out there and answer a lot of questions for the other universities and for people here to say, yeah, we're here, we're here to stay, and we're here to win, was just absolutely awesome to come back and do that for home.
What makes university rugby different than club rugby?
Just the peers, just the players you're playing with. Big closeness with people that are around your age. You're all going through similar experiences together, and to be able to come together and do something pretty cool. I think I saw a lot of friends drop off at the coming out of high school age, and then going into where the only option was club rugby or the provincial team. I think this MUN team will be a huge boon for the sport.
Young baseball players talking to a person from Corner Brook who has a great opportunity to play ball in North Carolina. That story's coming up.
Well, definitely not baseball weather out there tonight. Looking at some showers, even some flurries possible as we head through the overnight tonight. A little bit of a break tomorrow, but we do have another warm-up on the way. I'll get into some of those details when we come back.
The young Sri Lankan man who came to southern Labrador and found much more than he was expecting. Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
It was a bit of a strange day in St. John's today. It was some showers and then sunshine and very chilly. But before we get into the details of the weather, we have a quick video to share of a sight captured on a dash cam last night in St. John's. Just have a look.
Yeah, keep your eyes on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Nope, it's not headlights. Nolene Anthony Bruce caught a falling meteor last night shortly after 7 p.m. on the Outer Ring Road. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Yeah, that is great. I wonder if that's from the annual Leonid meteor shower.
More than likely. It's actually, I was doing a little bit of reading up on that one, and you don't typically see a whole lot from it. So if that was it, that was a treat for sure. Definitely some nice weather last night with some clearing skies at some point, but temperatures today, not too bad. That area of low pressure has moved off, and we're in that northerly flow, so they have dropped, and we've got those windy conditions as well this afternoon. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, though, they have dropped a little bit more, about 2 degrees in St. John's right now. A number of areas hovering around the 0-degree mark, -10 already in Lab City. Your temperatures are going to fall a few more degrees as well. And then Happy Valley Goose Bay looking at a temperature near -4. So taking a look at the winds, they're still quite gusty. Anywhere along the coast, really, the closer to that area of low pressure, they're sustained winds right now, 30 as much as almost 60 kilometers per hour in Twillingate out of the northwest, and right now about 31 kilometers per hour in St. John's. Factor in those wind gusts, you're seeing about 70 kilometer per hour wind gusts for Twillingate, 72 in Bonavista. So that is leading to a bit of a wind chill out there for sure. -4 is what it feels like in Bonavista right now. Same thing for St. John's. And then those wind chill values up through Cartwright, even -9. For you, Makovic, feeling more like -10. So a number of places seeing some showers right now along the northern Avalon, some showers, flurries, even some graupel. And a couple of centimeters reported in Gander earlier today as well. And that's generally going to be the story as we head through the overnight tonight. Some likely maybe a couple of centimeters more if we do get some of those bands, but that should end as we head through the overnight tonight. Partly to mostly cloudy skies, the story pretty much right across the board. Nice for Labrador. And then as we get into the early morning hours, we should actually see some clearing skies as well for the majority of the island. Now, temperatures tonight are going to dip. Like I said, Lab City going down to -15 tonight with a bit of a wind chill. The winds will be generally light, but certainly at that temperature, any little breeze will give you a wind chill. But -12 for Happy Valley Goose Bay tonight. And then across the board, temperatures should be hovering either a degree or 2 even below 0, with those winds continuing. The northwesterlies gusting anywhere really along the coast again, anywhere from 40 to as much as 60 kilometers per hour, certainly possible through the overnight tonight. Now, as we head through the day tomorrow, that area of high pressure that I showed you a little bit earlier is going to dominate the weather. So it will be fairly nice. Maybe a few lingering flurries in the morning, but otherwise sunshine will be the story tomorrow. Same thing up across Labrador, except Lab West. Next systems rolling through or starting to move in, and that's going to bring some cloud cover with it along with some snow, and it'll work its way across the big land as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. And then some increasing cloud for the southwest. Likely going to see rain to start, but some of the higher elevations and inland areas could see this quickly start as snow. It shouldn't last too long. That looks like it's potential through central, even the northern peninsula, but as the temperatures bump up, which they will overnight, we should see that all change over to rain. That swath of snow will continue for most of Labrador as well until we get into the evening hours on Friday. And then that means that everything should change over to rain for the essentially southeastern portion of Labrador through the day on Friday. Then a big push of some rain will move in, also some mild temperatures through the day on Friday. So snowfall amounts as we get through Friday into Friday morning rather, looking at a good 5 to 10. Some areas could see as much as 10 to 15 centimeters of snow, but this will be a mainly rain event for the island. So we are looking at some areas seeing 30 to 50 millimeters of rain and maybe even some pockets of some higher amounts as well. So taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, those temperatures cool, about 2 degrees through the afternoon. The winds will be breezy in the morning and then they'll ease through the day. So about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. So sunshine and light winds will actually feel fairly nice tomorrow. As we head towards central Newfoundland, we're looking at those temperatures again, 2, 3, 4 degrees with some sunshine, and then the clouds will move in. Have that rain icon in there for you. Again, this will be later on the day. The other thing with this is the winds will likely pick up late as this area of low pressure moves in. So that's going to set the stage for Friday being fairly windy as well across the island. And then for the northern peninsula, you're looking at rain, showers, sunshine tomorrow. I keep saying rain, but they'll be hovering around 0 to 1 degree. The winds again in the morning will be a bit breezy, but then that should ease as the day goes on. And then for the rest of Labrador, some sunshine, light snow will move in for you and then continue for most of the day for Lab City, sitting around -2. So that's a look at the forecast. We'll look ahead when I come back.
All right, a good news story and some big news for a Corner Brook baseball player who's got a major scholarship down south in the US of A. I met up with a big, tall, 18-year-old pitcher from Corner Brook who's dreaming of the big leagues, and he's getting into even better shape these days in paradise. So Jay, in a province where hockey is king, how did you end up in baseball?
You know, when I was 7 years old, my daddy put me in minor baseball in Corner Brook, and you know, ever since I threw a ball, really enjoyed it. And you know, when I was around 15, I tried out for the provincial teams here for Team NL, and that's where I really liked playing like higher level competition.
Right.
For
now you're a
baseball.
Corner Brook boy.
Yeah.
How are you adjusting to life in St. John's? You must miss home.
Yeah, you know, St. John's is nice. You know, I like Corner Brook's a little smaller. You know, obviously my family is there, but you know, it's good. I'm here at Premier Sports Academy, you know, training and getting ready for the off season.
So when you say getting ready for the off season, now you're doing some training. You're really looking forward to next year.
Yeah.
Tell me about this great opportunity in the United States.
Yeah, you know, next August, you know, I attend UNC Greensboro to play college baseball at the Division I level. Yeah, I'm really excited for that, and you know, I can't wait to get started down there.
And there's a certain reputation that Corner Brook on the West Coast has for baseball in this province, and there's a guy who's a pillar of baseball out there, and he helped you actually with this opportunity in North Carolina?
Yeah, you know, his name is Frank Humber. He's a coach in the Minor Baseball Association there, and you know, he helped connect me down to North Carolina. Obviously, he played at Wake Forest University, and I got drafted by the Dodgers. So he's been a big role in helping me achieve this.
So how big an opportunity is this for you as you sort of think about a future as a potential baseball player?
Yeah, you know, down obviously in the South, baseball is big, and to play at a Division I school is a huge opportunity. You know, go in there and you know, fight for a spot on the roster, and you know, hopefully help the team win, and whatever comes of that, you know.
How's your fastball?
Fastball's good. You usually say it's you know, 87, 90. You know, it's out 91 before. Has a little bit of movement, so yeah, it's pretty good.
Ryan, what's your sense of the opportunity that Jay has?
So, I mean, it's great. He has a school lined up for next September, which is awesome. But, you know, one of the big reasons that he's kind of taken this road this fall, coming home training with us, is that he thinks that there might be another opportunity there for him. You know, he's still draft eligible next summer, so, you know, we want to see how good we can get over the next, you know, 4 to 6 months, and then if that happens, that's wonderful. But at the very least, he has an incredible school to go to, so he has a lot of great opportunities in front of him.
So what are you trying to help him do here to get him ready for what's going to be very competitive in North Carolina?
Sure, yeah, and one of the things, and it's not just in baseball but in other sports, one of the things we lack locally is that athletic development piece. So Jay has gotten to where he is to this point off of a lot of natural ability, and now it's time to take that to the next level. So, you know, kids that Jay competes against in the U.S., they've gotten there through a mixture of talent and you will say hard work in the gym and things like that. So now, you know, for Jay, it's just about kicking into the next gear and getting into the gym and becoming that, we'll say, complete athlete where you're treating it, you know, more like a job as you start to go down this path where you're lifting 5-6 days a week and structured throwing programs and things like that.
So what are you doing to help him? Is it a question of like resting his arm and then working on his pitching technique, or is it all conditioning? What's the focus?
Right now, he just returned, so he just finished his competitive season. So, you know, we wind the throwing down. So he may play catch a couple of days a week, but he's not off the mound throwing regularly. And the focus right now for the next 6 to 8 weeks is really in the gym. It's about getting stronger. It's about getting stable, you know, and obviously letting the arm relax from a long season. And then we gradually build him back up to when he goes back down to compete. So he's leaving here the end of February. So, you know, we'll take him through a good strength program, and then we'll build up his throwing program so that when he goes down to Carolina, he's not only physically healthy, but he's ready to compete from his pitching perspective as well.
Okay, and as a mentor and as a person who helps young athletes, what do you enjoy about what you do?
What we enjoy, and me and all the other coaches here, is seeing kids that start to, you know, create the dreams for themselves and start to pursue it and push it. We've had a lot of incredible athletes do some really wonderful things just like Jay over the last year, and that's starting to become infectious. You're starting to see that rub off on other people. And just by him being here for the next 3 to 4 months, I mean, he doesn't know it yet, he's a young kid, but that motivates a lot of other kids that are going to be in this building seeing him do what he's doing.
Oh, that is great. One to watch for sure. Well, staying with sports, last week we told you about the local man who had kept the game ball from the last time Canada's men's soccer team qualified for the World Cup back in 1987. Well, last night, the Canadian team took a big step towards getting back to the biggest event in soccer. They beat Mexico 2-1 in chilly Edmonton and celebrated in the snow.
Stacchio, good ball, touchdown! Sensational!
Players and fans endured temperatures of -10 throughout the match, but Kyle Larin warmed their hearts by scoring both of his team's goals. The victory is Canada's first over Mexico in over 20 years. It put the men's team on top with 6 games remaining. The top 3 teams automatically qualify for the tournament in Qatar next year. Canada's next game is in late January in Honduras, who you may remember beat Canada back in St. John's in 1986 to get to their first and only World Cup appearance.
It's not a part of our history. It's not talked about that there were slaves there, let alone that they were buried right in the city. Like we walk past, people walk past there every day.
A new series on CBC Radio explores the little-known history of slavery in this province. The host and the producer of the show, Unearthed, will talk about what they discovered about slavery in our colonial past. That's coming up. A new series on CBC Radio and online shines a spotlight on part of Newfoundland and Labrador's history that many of us don't know much about. Unearthed looks at the historical connections between enslaved Black people and this province. Joining me now to talk more about the series is host Xavier Michael Campbell and producer Heather Barrett. So how did you both get interested in this topic?
Well, for myself, I was doing my regular job as host and producer of Weekend AM, and I was doing an interview about Emancipation Day, which is the day in 1834 that the British outlawed slavery. And during the course of the conversation I had with my guest said, wherever there was colonization, there was slavery. And then I thought, wait a minute, Newfoundland is a colony. Does that mean that it happened here? So I started asking questions, and the answer to that is yes.
I was trying to do some research into a novel about how connected Newfoundland and Jamaica was. Being from Jamaica and living in Newfoundland, I tend to write about both countries in all of my work. So I really wanted to know how far back this connection was going. And what I realized was that it's like from the beginning of Newfoundland that these islands have been connected in some very deep way. Newfoundland was such a great player in the slave trade, and Jamaica was an island populated by slaves. Like, they were fed by the Newfoundland codfish. Like, it was so integral that to both places, for like the existence of one, that the existence of the other needed to happen. And so that connection and that bond, that it seems seemingly unbreakable, because to this day both islands are still connected. So I really wanted to see how deep and how strong that really was. And it's something that I didn't know about, because I've lived here for over a decade, but it's not knowledge that was readily available to me. Like, I had to go and dig and find out. So I was so that's what I found.
Yeah, certainly something that I don't recall learning about when I was in school. And what does the series explore?
We explore the people who came to Newfoundland. That would be the English and the French and the Spanish and the Portuguese, and the role that enslaved Black people played in their ship-based work. And that includes the fishery, it includes the Navy, it includes goods and transportation. And I mean, I heard an astounding statistic actually that historically from the 16th to the 19th centuries, up to 1 in 5 people aboard a ship from any of those European countries was an enslaved Black person, which I'd never heard of before. And we also heard that because there were early colonies here, settled by people with high status, that there were Black domestic slaves present at colonies in Newfoundland. And we're also going to go to Xavier's kitchen, because a lot of our favorite foods traditional to Newfoundland and to Jamaica have actually deep connections to enslaved Black people and how those foods were produced and exchanged.
So it definitely seems like one of those uncomfortable truths. How are people reacting to this?
Like you've said, it is an uncomfortable truth. So there have been people who are like, it is a bitter pill to swallow to know that the narrative, the Newfoundland, the early Newfoundland, the colonizers, the settlers that you thought you knew to be true and to be the complete story, to be changed all of a sudden. So it being uncomfortable, people do have that little bit of hesitation, but there's still like outward, like mostly positivity. And people are like, they're welcoming to this new information, and they're glad to have their world open, to know that they can probably themselves start telling a different story about what early Newfoundland looked like and who were here.
It's a lot, because like most people, I grew up here. I've never heard anything about this before. So I've been working away on this now for a number of months, and I'm still in the process of wrapping my head around things.
And we're here in front of the Anglican Cathedral, and there's a reason why we're in this particular location, right?
Well, we are, the next episode, we do come and visit the cathedral, and we talk about some of the people who lived here and who were inevitably buried in this burial ground, because it is an old cemetery. It was the only consecrated cemetery at the time. So, this is where the bodies would be buried. And we really look at who are here in plain sight, and we just don't know about it, because there isn't nothing to let us know. It's not a part of our history. It's not talked about that there were slaves here, let alone that they were buried right in the city. Like, people walk past here every day, and you would never know. So that's why we're here today, just to bring that awareness that it's right in front of you.
We're going to go on a walk through the cemetery. We're going to find out more about the enslaved domestic people who are black who lived here, and about some of the records that do exist right now, where if you look at them very carefully, you will see evidence of black people that both lived in Newfoundland over the centuries and who moved through our ports.
Well, I look forward to learning more about this. Xavier Michael Campbell and Heather Barrett, thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to check out the next episode of Unearthed, you can tune into CBC Radio's Crosstalk on Friday, and you can also find it on the CBCNL website.
Welcome back. Alan Doyle is embarking on a new project on another island. Telltale Harbor is a musical comedy based on Ken Scott's screenplay The Grand Seduction with a few tweaks. This time, residents of a struggling fishing village are banding together to bring a frozen fry factory to town. The musical is set to premiere at the Charlottetown Festival on Prince Edward Island next summer. Alan Doyle spoke with our colleagues in PEI about his new project.
Well, not to make light of it all, but nothing in the world benefited more from COVID than this project. Like we were worried in 2020 about how in God's name we could possibly get this done for summer 2022. And then the pandemic hit and it was like, oh, okay, well, now we all got lots of time. And we made use of it, you know, and we did a lot of Zoom stuff, and we did a lot of creation, did a lot of recording. But we actually had 2 and arguably 3 full in-person workshops with distance singing and all that stuff. And so we really made hay when the sun didn't shine. It's we never say we never say and quite intentionally, like we say it's an Atlantic fishing village, and that's all, you know, because I think the story that it tells is true of people from Newfoundland and Labrador, and it's people from you know, the other maritime provinces, but I think it's also true of people who live in island cultures globally, you know, where they feel they have the, you know, the industry that they once had is shutting down, and that and the way of life that they've had there for the longest while is threatened, and how do they pave a way forward, you know? And not to mention, I mean, globally you hear people talk about trying to attract doctors to rural places, and so it's, you know, it's a bit more of a global story than even I think we imagined. Well, the first part about writing the music was great fun, albeit challenging, because, you know, writing a song for a musical really is completely different than writing it just for your own self, because when it's your own self, you don't have anybody else in any other departments to worry about. But writing songs for a musical, I always say, is like a Rubik's Cube, right? And just say, for example, the song department is the red color, and you get really excited one day because you made all the red colors line up on one side of the Rubik's Cube. Well, guess what? You shagged up the green one and the yellow one and the blue one in the process. So now you got to go back and redo it over and over again just to make sure all the colors are lining up. And that's part of the challenge. As for the prep to get ready to be in it and to do the role, well, I got to tell you, I mean, I've sort of been joking about it, but in a way it's no joke. It's like, I don't really know what's ahead of me. I mean, I've never done it before. So I've done things that I've never done before, you know, like jumped on movie sets, you know, with the biggest actors in the world, and had to learn quickly and figure it out. And I hope I'll do the same thing here. But I'm surrounded by great people. I'm excited to bring something new to the genre and to the thing, but also to learn from these incredible people and just to you know, bring Frank to life next summer. I can't wait.
Well, that is great. He's going to be a busy guy. Not only is he co-writing the play, doing the music, but you also heard him say that he's going to be playing Frank in it.
Busy person, and hopefully they'll be able to bring it here.
Well, shifting to some weather-related news now, British Columbia is declaring a provincial state of emergency in the wake of destructive landslides and flooding. Premier John Horgan says the province is expecting to confirm more fatalities in the coming days. One death was confirmed yesterday. In Abbotsford, engineers warn that a crucial pumping station that's been holding back floodwaters could fail.
The Barrowtown pump station is capable of pumping over 500,000 gallons per minute. It was designed for a specific capacity. While the situation remains critical at this time, the Barrowtown pump station is operating at its full capacity.
People worked desperately to build a temporary protective wall of sandbags around the station. Meanwhile, across the Abbotsford area, roads are washed out, power lines are knocked out, and crucial supply lines are cut off. Their latest challenge is a raging fire at an RV dealership in the area. There are concerns over possible toxic fumes and the risk the fire poses to nearby power lines. And a rescue operation happened in one area of the city. 184 people were ushered to safety overnight. Okay, time for a look at the long range, and that means we're looking ahead to the weekend, starting with Friday. How's everything looking heading into the weekend?
Well, things are going to start to get a little bit busy as we get to the weekend, but it's going to be nice depending on if you like warm temperatures. That's
I do.
for sure. Yeah, but it is obviously going to come with some rain. Let's take a look at the future tracker. So that snow is going to move in. The area of low pressure is going to move in, but the precipitation is going to move in ahead of it. And we're going to see that snow start tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon for Lab West, and then spread across most of Labrador as we get through the overnight. And then we're going to see some rain as well in those higher elevations on the west coast, as well as inland areas. We could see that start quickly as snow, but as the area of low pressure tracks further north, everything should change right back over to rain. And depending exactly on the track, most of southeastern Labrador should actually see that transition through to rain Friday morning as well. At this point, looking like Happy Valley Goose Bay is right on the cusp of that. So if you see a little bit more snow, you could get into that 10 to 15 centimeter range. Otherwise, if it transitions to rain, it'll be more like 5 to 10 centimeters. So most of Friday is going to be wet and windy for the most part for the island. But again, those temperatures are going to warm up quite nicely. That moves fairly quickly through by Saturday morning. Still seeing some of that precipitation though, or that rain for eastern areas of the island. Then we get back into that onshore flow, and that means that we could see the showers or flurries continue for most of the west coast, depending on the temperatures and where you are, but that will really stick around through the day on Saturday. Temperatures are going to drop into the afternoon, and then that should change to some snow through the day. So as far as the temperatures go on Friday, double digits, 10 to 12 degrees for the most of the island. And then temperatures across Labrador, -2 in Lab City, but the further south and east you go, those temperatures should be on the plus side of the mercury, about 4 to 7 degrees as your daytime highs. There's that cool down I was talking about on Saturday, keeping the flurry potential for the west coast. But going to hang on to the double digits at least through the morning for St. John's, and then that temperature will drop later on in the day, and then really does on Sunday. So back down to start off next week, even into the single digits, 1 to 4 degrees, but it's looking quiet, at least for a couple of days. And then for central Newfoundland, you're looking at that similar temperatures, 1 to 2 degrees with some sunshine. And then for western Newfoundland, after the flurries on Saturday, fairly nice end to the weekend, but with the cooler temperature. So for Labrador, some flurries rather on Saturday, and then clearing skies for you as well. Temperatures a bit cooler, -1, -3. And then for Lab West, it's just some flurries will continue, maybe even some more snow by the time we get to Monday. This is tonight's sunset actually in Goose Bay. Paul West shared that shot with us. I thought it was a good one with a little bit of snow there on the ground. Obviously more coming, but if you have any weather photos that you would like to send us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
That's tonight, you said?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow, quick turnaround.
Almost
Looks like a
real
beautiful.
time.
Yeah.
Well, with the sun setting so early.
Right.
True.
Winter.
Yeah, beautiful shot. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for joining us this evening.
See you tomorrow.
Good night.